I love you and I hate you, Jose.
I get that a lot.
And you just said that live on air.
I know.
Oh!
That's right. So now we know how Pandora truly feels about me. All right, we're sitting here with the final season of the Hunters Hangout. We got
Final episode.
Final episode. Yeah, final season.
That's a Freudian slip. It's like, oh, I wish it was.
Hold on, wait, hold on.
The network hasn't canceled us yet.
Okay, we're here at Hunters Hangout with our final season episode. Anyways, but we got a bunch of great guests, and and we're glad they came in to join us. Definitely all of them have like more information than just to be on one show. We definitely could have had like each one of them on a single show on their own because they're just awesome, and we got a line of prizes that are coming up, and we're gonna let Pandora, since she hates me so much, I'm gonna let her go through and say the prizes we have for tonight.
For tonight, we have 3 Sam Haines Dark Carnival downloads. We have 2 of the new 2015 Haunt Nation t-shirts. We have 1 Antari wireless fog machine, generously donated from Froggy's Fog at a value of $240.
Wow.
Yeah. We have a one-year subscription to Haunt Topless magazine. We also have 1 flipper mech from Dead Rising Props, valued at $225. If we also have, by the way, that's for MHC pickup only. Whoever wins that, you must be going to MHC, and you must pick it up at MHC unless you want to pay an exorbitant amount for shipping. We also from Dead Rising Props. Yeah.
Real quick, just to interrupt you on that. So if you are interested in participating on the mechanism and you are attending MHC, when you do comment, please start with maybe an M in front of it so that we all know that you are eligible to win that. Just that way, as Julie goes through and randomly picks the winners for tonight, she'll know whether or not you're actually able to attend MHC and pick that up.
Perfect. Great. Also from Dead Rising Props, between now and Sunday, $25 off any mech purchase, as long as you use the keyword Hangout when you purchase. And my personal favorite, but I'm biased, 1 Twisted Puppet art doll from moi, aka Dark Rose.
Nice.
That's great. Thanks, Pandora, for going through all those prizes, and thanks, Jose, for putting up the images of all those prizes.
Yeah, that was fabulous.
Well, maybe I didn't really emphasize to go slow. You know what I'm saying? She just went through so fast. I'm like, by the time I clicked over, she's already on the third one. I was like, what do you want me to do? Okay, maybe I should say, Pandora, go slow.
Now that we've established the animosity between two of us.
Right. Hold up, wait. Hold up one second. No, we are definitely going to do this. Since it was so okay, here's the Dead Rising props that we are going to be giving away, and it's an amazing price. They have good products, and for all the home hunters out there that don't want to pay the high dollar price for them, they're definitely the people to go to. Definitely go check them out. We're going to be seeing a lot from them in the future. Okay, now see how I got to move over to the next thing. And we have a Haunt Topless magazine, which is totally great.
Man, they're such great pictures too. Wow.
And
I can't believe we missed that the first go around.
No. Well,
Pandora, you should describe what all these things are.
yeah, describe them as they go up.
Froggy's Fog. There.
And we have Froggy's Fog. This is the machine that you're going to be getting. And
This is the Anteri wireless fog machine valued at $240.
Oh, there you go. She sounds like a real salesman.
I feel like we're on an episode of Price is Right now.
I know. Go ahead. T-shirts.
T-shirts, the 2015 new design for the Haunt Nation T-shirts.
All right. She's getting the hang of it. See, now we're in unison here.
Now we're cooking with fire. All right.
Last one.
Something's completely wrong. We're looking too organized and professional.
Yeah, the second time.
I want to do. Okay, and the Twisted Poppet.
There you have Penny of the Twisted Puppets Art Doll Collection.
Nice.
Dark Rose Manor 2014 Haunt.
All right, now that's all the prizes for tonight. Sorry it took us so long to get through them. Somebody wanted to go too fast for me.
But you know what? They're definitely worth the wait. So if you stick around tonight, comment, ask questions, and later on tonight we'll announce those winners for all those great prizes. So we're thankful. We're thankful to have people that are that are supportive and generous enough to provide those for us. So thank you.
Right, most definitely. Okay, Jim, take it over, man. Take it over.
It's about time.
I know. Blame man.
Well, as Jose started out, thank you for joining us. This is our season finale. We're ending the season tonight so that we can get ready to head out next week to MHC. So can't wait to see everybody at MHC next week. Absolutely, it's going to be an absolute blast. The show floor has grown immensely. We've got I can't tell you how many people have shared that they're going out for the first time. A lot of the people that we know and have seen comments, so we're looking forward to seeing all of them. With that said, make sure to come by and see us. We do have a booth there, number 635. It is our booth. It's the Haunters Hangout booth, so feel free to join us. It's have plenty of tables and chairs for everybody to hang out, take a break, and then get back on that show floor and start making your buys. So please do stop by. We will have a raffle. Just like we did at Transworld, we are selling buttons and raffle tickets. Those will be available through Saturday and Sunday morning. If you're lucky and can catch us sometime Thursday and Friday and we haven't quite fallen out of our chair, we might have them on us and we could sell them then too. So no guarantee at that point. But we've got an unbelievable lineup of prizes for the raffle. One thing that we didn't do at Transworld that we are doing at MHC, the three of us, Jose, myself, and Brad, have all personally made an item to give away. My particular item is this guy right here. So this is one of the new pumpkins that I have produced. Brad's got one of his over his shoulder that he's going to be giving away.
Yeah, this is a new latex mask that I just finished that I'm giving away at MHC. Oh, it's a homemade from my sculpt and poured and painted, and it's all ready to go. So good luck, everybody. Buy tickets.
That's right.
And Jose is setting on his that he's going to be giving away.
Right.
So
you know what? I don't even care. Get to the guests, man. This is what we're here for, man.
But Jose, I will tell you that I have seen Jose what he's made, and it is freaking phenomenal. So
it's all right.
But again,
don't pump it up because then they'll be like, what? They'll be like, oh damn.
He's like, no, I'm gonna live up to it. But no, we're more than thankful to be able to do that and make that for you guys. So hope to see everybody there. Like Jose said, we have got some great guests with us tonight. We are happy to bring to you. We've got John LaFlamboy from the Zombie Army. If you could say hello, John.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for having me on the season finale.
Yeah.
Although Jose scared me in the beginning. Jose, you made me feel like the show was dead forever, and this was the last moment of it. And he was going to die tonight, and I had to witness the end. So it freaked me out a little bit. Glad to know it's just the season finale. Season.
Yes.
Yeah.
Season finale.
I'll never get it right. It doesn't matter. Get used to
Well, thank you, John, for joining us. We can't wait to dive in and pick your brain for tonight. So, also joining us, we have Ken Thompson from K Studios. What's up, Ken?
Hi. How's it going?
Hey, we're doing well. How about you?
I'm good.
We
I'm a
finally
little
started.
cold.
Yeah, Ken's working on a haunt as we speak. He took a moment to come out and help and get on the show, so we appreciate that. Shoot.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Absolutely. We can't keep him for forever, but we'll certainly have him for tonight. So we can't thank him for doing that.
Yeah,
Well, that sounds like a one-night stand, kind of.
Also joining us tonight, we've got the one and only Scott Stoll from Stoloween. What's up, Scott?
Hey guys, thank you so much for having me on.
Oh man, it's our pleasure.
Thank you for joining us. I feel like we've just got kind of like three legends all sitting in front of us. Jose hit the nail on the head. We could have had individual shows with each one of these guys, let alone have all three of them on at once. It's pretty special.
If we would have booted all the home hunters off to make room, then we would have been boycotted.
Yeah, these are three gets tonight, people. So I want your questions fast and hard. As I posted in the comments, I want you to bathe us in questiony goo.
Yeah.
Wow.
I didn't like when you
over.
said that.
Now what sounded like a one-night stand?
Bathing in social media goo.
Well, I guess we'll go ahead and get started, John. Just in case there are some people that are joining us tonight that may not be too familiar with yourself and the haunts and everything that you've got going on, if you could tell everybody, where you're from, some of the haunts that you have owned, that you do own.
Sure.
Just give us a little background.
My name's John the Flamboy. I am the founder and director of Zombie Army Productions. I started doing haunted houses in the basement of my friend's house when I was in high school, just for friends and family and neighborhood people. But I've been doing them professionally now for, it's got to be 16 years now, since 98. And I produce, design, direct, and run Statesville Haunted Prison here in Crest Hill, Illinois, just south of Chicago.
Woohoo!
And
You say that like it's just nothing.
It's a haunted house. It's my baby. It's not nothing. I love Statesville. It's I often joke that it's my foul mistress because it demands everything from me and I give everything to it. And we do a lot of other projects also. We also have the Fear Haunted House at Navy Pier. We did until it sank, so that was exciting. I'm sure we'll talk about that later. Everyone loves talking about disaster. And then I produce Zombie Prom, Zombie Army Games, A Very Zombie Christmas, and I'm also a filmmaker, The Mole Man of Belmont Avenue, The Adventures of Kitty Zombie, a bunch of other little stuff, and I'm an actor here in Chicago. I do theater and film, TV, whatever I can get into. So it's kind of a mixed bag.
Do you have wife and kids?
I have a girlfriend. No kids yet. I have interns, but no kids.
Pretty much the same thing.
If I go out my garage for too long, I'm in trouble. I don't know where you're getting away with all that shit.
I know.
She's a pretty big part of this with you, isn't she, John?
What's that? Yeah, Teresa is. I mean, she's been with the company since year 2, and was actually there when I first did it as a fundraiser in college. That was the first time I did a haunted house professionally. It was a fundraiser for my theater group. I thought it was a good idea for theater people to produce haunted houses, that we could create our own marketplace, create our own jobs. And Teresa was my scenic painter then, and she's painting now. And she's also one of the producers and production managers for one of the shows. So yeah, Teresa, it's one of the, I got lucky. I'm with the girl who understands the madness, because she's she's eyeball deep in it as well.
Right. So you don't really go with your own rules, like not fraternizing in the haunt community in the haunted house. No joke.
It's just another haunt couple for you to hate. Jose.
We're a haunt couple.
I hate all haunt couples, so whatever.
I was thinking that the whole time. I'm thinking, oh, John, he's going down the wrong road. He's already hit number one with Jose. Hey, you know what though, Jose? At least he's in Chicago, so we're okay. He's north. He's not south. He's not in the big state of Texas.
Not the big T word. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I hate
We know. I figured we were safe until you started going down the couple road, and I thought, oh boy, here we go.
And then, of course, Days of the Living Dead, the YouTube series, is pretty popular with a number of haunters as well. Yes, John?
Yeah, it's a fun show. You know, it's backstage, behind the scenes of everything Zombie Army, whether it's the parties we throw or, you know, the haunted houses that we're producing. So kind of started that up just to see what would happen because, you know, all my friends kept saying, hey, we should point a camera at this shit show because, well, you guys know, production backstage of a haunted house is just chaos all the time and drama. Started filming it, and now Yokai Productions is the production team that produces Days of the Living Dead, and it's fun. It's fun. We had them out today. They were filming today out at the haunted house.
Oh, good.
Sweet.
Yes,
Sweet.
new season.
So new season is coming. We're excited. Yeah.
We are too. All right, we're gonna move on to Ken and let Ken introduce himself and let us know what you're doing and what's going on.
Well, right now I'm in haunts. I don't know. What do you want to know? I don't know what to tell you.
Well, Ken, maybe you know what? Maybe you could start with just a little bit on maybe some of your background because it's kind of funny. You came on the scene like a freight train. We were all like, "Holy shit, who is this guy?" In Cave Studios, yeah. And we started seeing some of the scenic stuff that you were putting together, and we're like, "Man, where has he been?" So maybe that's where you could start with. Where did what's your background, or how did you get started, or what's your fascination with haunted houses?
When I first seen him, I was painting and I looked over at his stuff. I was like, I just threw my brush down. I'm like, damn it.
Exactly. I'll never forget that first video I saw of Ken, and he had that. It was kind of sped up. It was just the fast forward of him building that thing, and I just kind of started looking at it, and next thing you know, I'm just sitting there at the screen going, holy. What the hell?
I was like, time to watch videos. So I threw my brush down, like, damn it.
No, I felt the same way. I felt like it kind of happened on its own. I mean, I have a theater background in New Orleans, and so I did a lot of theater there, and so I have a, kind of a artsy kind of background, but I was never really into haunted houses. I mean, when I was a kid, I would go, and like, I think it was maybe 7 or 8 years ago, I just showed up at a haunted house and said, "Do you need help?" And of course, they were like, "Yes!"
Always.
Where it started. And it's kind of grown, so I did that for 3 years. I was with another haunt. And it's just kind of grown from there to me kind of, I pretty much travel year-round to different haunts all over the country and do work, do set design and set construction all over the place. So it's really fun, and yeah.
Did you hear that, John?
I heard a bit.
He travels all over the country.
Oh, yeah. No, I made a note. I got my notebook out and already bold. Yeah.
No, John got lost when he said he just showed up at a haunted house and said, "You want some help?"
I'll help.
Yeah, damn it!
Because we always say yes. Like, we always say yes.
He's like, "Why did you have to be down there?"
But usually someone doesn't show up and say, "Do you need help?" and have all of that talent too.
Yeah, there you go.
Right. Like,
you're right. It was a very weird situation. It was very weird because I literally showed up, and then a week later, they were like, "Here's some keys, and just take." See what happened.
They're like, yes, here's the keys to the kingdom. You're awesome. Do we have to pay you?
There has to be money for there to be a kingdom.
That's
Well,
excellent.
one thing's for certain, Ken. I guess we're all happy that you showed up at that haunted house that day and asked if they wanted help, because at least we've gotten to take advantage of seeing some of the artwork that you've produced, and it's by far
Indeed.
it's inspirational. That's for sure.
Yeah, and I sure hope you don't get offended if you see some of your stuff not looking that good, like up in my haunt somewhere.
No, you call me. No.
Oh yeah.
No, at that point, Ken's gonna look at you and go, "Nice try."
See, I already know that's gonna happen. He's gonna be like, oh. But that was okay. Thank you for giving, trying. I'll get that part. All right, we're gonna move on to Scott. And Scott, are you with us?
Well, Scott,
okay.
if you could, just introduce yourself, Scott. We do have to say that Jose's thrilled to have you here because he finally found somebody besides a Canadian that's further north than him. So he's thrilled to death.
Like
And
what,
in
2 hours,
Michigan.
2 hours, I think. My name is Scott Stahl. I live in Midland, Michigan, which is, I guess, 2 hours north. Basically, I'm the definition of your home haunter. Years ago, or growing up as a kid, I always really enjoyed, movies and amusement parks and Halloween. And once I grew up and had my first house way back in 1992, we decorated our yard. My wife helped me. My wife we're not a haunt couple because my wife, essentially, she likes Halloween, but she likes it on October 31st. The rest of the time, it's like, yeah, no, I don't know what you're doing.
So you're hating John too, right?
Yeah, so yeah, it's not fair. Although, my wife has been such a good sport. I mean, she helps me out when I'm in a pinch. She'll be out there, paper macheing, a dozen sets of hands going, really, why are we doing this? And I'm going, oh, just wait, it's going to be great. But anyway, 1992, we did our first yard display. It was nothing fancy, some plywood tombstone cutouts, maybe 3 or 4 paper mache props. But that was when the bug bit, because you know what? You put a little bit of effort into doing your yard, and on Halloween night you get that feedback, and you see people enjoying themselves, and it just went on from there. So what are we at? 23 years later, I'm sitting here on your show talking about, a 50-year-old guy that plays with paste. It's sort of strange.
It's awesome, isn't it?
That's awesome.
Absolutely. You know what though? It's funny because it's just like John when he was explaining. Oh, and I have this haunt, I have that. Just like yourself, you say, oh, I just play with paste, and it's funny because they're, whether it's John, Ken, yourself, everybody just looks at your stuff in awe, and it's such a huge inspiration. But obviously, you guys live it every day. So to you, it is just, hey, I'm just doing this, just playing with it. It is what it is. But that's probably why you all are still doing it, because it's fun.
Oh, it's awesome. That's like my wife and I were talking today. We drove past a party store that had like the Powerball 194 million or whatever lottery ticket it was. We're just talking about, wouldn't that be cool? And it's like, I can honestly say, if I won, lottery tomorrow, I would still do this. On a much bigger scale, it would be awesome, but I would still do this. I love doing it.
I would definitely call Kenneth. I'd be like, Kenneth, I'm gonna start a haunted house.
Well, over the years, like I said, as we continued to do the paper mache thing in 2006. That was sort of a defining year for me because it was the first time I ever posted any of my work on the internet. In fact, Halloween Forum was the first Halloween site that I joined. posted a picture on there. Got some emails from just some amazing talent. I won't mention any names because I'll leave somebody off, but they're still relevant today. They're still some of the people that they were doing amazing things way before I was. And then what happened next was I was asked to do a seminar at Great Lakes Freight Fest, and that blew me out of the water. I'm like, why is this person calling me, asking me to show them how to do something? I went ahead and I did it, scared to death. I mean, I don't think I've ever been as terrified as I was in my life. It's like, there's like 200 hunters under this picnic pavilion, and here I've got my little buckets of paste and clay, and it's like, this is how we make demon reapers. Everyone seemed to like it. It just went from there, and that's how the website developed, because I realized, I need some place to house this information so that it's accessible. And part of my philosophy was, that's what I keep telling people. I get real tired of the whole, I did not invent paper mache. I had nothing to do with the invention. Everything I have done has been because of people that have shared their work. So that's sort of been my philosophy over the years is, as I do something, they're not super fabulous detailed tutorials per se, but whatever I learn, I try to put out there so that people can enjoy it as much as I do.
You've certainly been an inspiration to many, many, many people over the years, Scott. You were one of the first papier-mâché sites we found. Your talent, the artistry in and of itself, sometimes just the concept drawings. You are one hell of an artist, and we all appreciate you.
Well, thank you. This is some of my finest work right here. This was done with marker and crayon just prior to the show. I'm very proud of it. So, and with that, I'm gonna lose it. If anyone forgets who I am, I'll bring it back so you can see it.
Hoping you're just gonna get a little chain with it.
But anyway, that's basically how I. That's my little story there. Of course, there's a lot more to it, but if you want to know anything else, just ask.
Well, Scott, we can't thank you enough for joining us tonight. That's for sure. I think we'll have plenty of questions as the night goes on. That we'll have plenty for you. I don't think that's going to be a problem.
Well, thank you.
Well, John, I know we started with you. Let's jump back over to you, and I'm not really sure where to start. It's kind of one of those deals that there's a lot of information that's on the web. We've seen a lot of your actor training, and I think the one thing that stands out the most, at least in my mind, is just the overwhelming, enthusiasm that you have, and just your charisma, especially to your actors and to everybody that you work with. How do you keep that drive going?
He's got twins.
They're clones. There are many of us.
Clones.
No, it's because I love it. It's easy in that way that, when your hobby and your art and your job and the thing that makes you happy all happen to be the same thing. It's easy to have a lot of energy for it because I love it. It's the thing I think about before I go to bed. It's the thing I think about when I get out of bed is the stuff we get to do this day. I count myself incredibly lucky that I get to do this for a living, like incredibly lucky. So yeah, I just try to make sure I get everything out of it. Hey, there's the druid room. I get out of it. It's life is short. Squeeze as much as you can out. So try to do as much as I can with these haunted houses, with these shows, and with the people I get to work with. I'm lucky with them too. So
was John, Statesville the first pro?
Yeah, I mean the first. Technically, the first one I did that was pro was in Carbondale, where I went to college, and that was in a mall in a shoe store that was tiny, and then we had like 5 rooms. But that's where I really got to do a show that lasted over 2 weeks. We were 7 days a week for that show, 9 hours a day, and that's really where I learned how to manage a show and manage the talent and the schedules and honestly, a bunch of theater students doing a haunted house. Not everybody shows up sober.
That's my kind of place.
And no joke, at one point I found my vampire passed out drunk in the coffin, clutching a bottle of vodka, and a kid was poking her, trying to see if she was real. That was the first haunted house. Like, we were all just college kids trying to figure something out. And then, yeah, Statesville, I graduated, and I had a thesis written on, how you could do a haunted house with a theater company. And I brought that to Paul Siegel, the owner of the property, the owner of Statesville, and we kind of joined teams. My company and his company partnered up together, and this is Statesville. This is our baby.
Mary Fentner wanted to know what year Statesville opened, John.
What year it opened. Before I got there, Paul Siegel had been doing a Statesville haunted corn maze wagon ride, which is really neat because, Paul Siegel got into the business because prisoners actually escaped the maximum security prison down the road and hid in his cornfield as he grew up as a kid. So he had this great kind of real story to tell people. And he did that with his hayride, and he had like a black maze in '97. And then I came in '98 and, proposed this whole huge theatrical production that is Statesville, as it is now. So that was '98 is when I kind of came in and started that show on top of what they had already had done the year before.
I know you're really big on backstory and what have you, and how did those kinds of stories play into how you've worked new themes over the years? I know you change it up little bits here and there every year. So how does some of that original story play into the backstory as it is now?
I'm a big fan of concept and storyline. It's the theater part of me. At the end of the day, it's like people are like, oh, you're a haunter, or you're a filmmaker, or you're an actor. Like, I'm a storyteller. That's what I am. That's all I am, is a storyteller. Whether I get to tell stories with a haunted house or with a movie or a play, that's what I'm doing, is telling stories. So when I got into the haunted house, I wanted to tell a story. I wanted there to be actual characters and not just people jumping out and yelling boo, which is what I was seeing a lot of back then. Of course, it's a different industry now. So that story, though, it's like I always call it like our torch, our compass. No matter when you fall into doubt with your designs or character construction, just go back to your story, go back to your concept, and that's always the guiding light. That's always what gets you out of the shit when your creativity gets a little bit stuck in the quagmire there. So I'm a slave to the concept. The concept is before all others, cast or tech. The concept is king. So it's huge, and it enables us to just continually add to it. We're not reinventing Statesville every year. We're adding to the legend. We're adding to the story. We're digging deeper into the prison and finding more of those convicts we have not yet introduced to the audience. So that's the beauty and the fun of it all. When you have a story that you believe in, it's just so much fun to keep adding to it, and keep putting new dimensions and opening up new windows for the audience to see.
There's always new crazy people coming in. It's not the same ones.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we get to mix it up. Like the blood room.
John, I got a couple of questions about actors. One from Robert Gaskell. I've approached several theater groups in my area, including a college, never got a great response for actors. What angle should I take to draw some talent?
The angle I've always taken, and it's not much of an angle as much as it's my philosophy, is I could build something, design something, and do all that fun concept stuff. But at the end of the day, when that show starts, I'm handing it over to my team. I'm handing it over to my actors. It's their show. It's their house. And I believe in that, and I believe in creating a space in which they feel that as well. So if you're looking for something out of a high school or a college, you really need to ask, what do they need out of all this? Because you definitely need them. What do they need? And if it's a place where they could be creative and you could offer that at the facility, great. If it's classes, I like to bring in other professionals, and I teach classes myself. That incentivizes people a lot by offering education. And that's just something we already do because it's what we've always believed in. But if you could bring in other teachers, bring in Ken. Yeah, bring that guy. Bring in K Studios to teach painting. And give these kids, give them something as well. So that's what we try to do. We try to kind of offer a lot of different things, whether it's education, real-life training, and internships. If you could help start an internship or work with an actual internship, that's another great a great way to get involved. But it really is about, what are you going to do for them?
Feed the beast.
Yeah.
Well, John. Oh, go ahead, Brad.
I was going to say what you were about to say, so go ahead.
Okay. John, I hate to cut you off because I know we've got a lot of momentum and we'll certainly come back to you.
Moving
but
on.
I do want to jump over to Ken because we've got kind of a red light going on here.
Yeah, get Ken.
We've got a battery issue with Ken. Him in while we can.
Well, he might have a battery issue. We just don't want him to die on us before we get to him. So.
No, I'm good. I'm good. I'm using up less of this data than I had expected, so we're good.
Okay.
Well, Ken, it's kind of funny he mentioned when John was talking about using the theater groups and whatnot. I think one of the things that people only think about when it comes to colleges and theater groups is just acting. But obviously, there's a lot more that goes on with that. You've got all of the different stage classes. You do have scenic design, lighting, and everything. So there's a lot of things. And like what John said is that if you go to them, what can they get out of it? So, Ken's a perfect example of that when it comes to some of the scenic design. There's going to be plenty of those people in college that need that experience and need an outlet for that. So that be a good way to take advantage of those theater groups. Unless you just have Ken floating around and and he could take care of everything and do it in a day, so no big deal.
A couple of days. Give me a couple of days, I'll change your life.
Exactly.
Okay, we've had a couple of questions. I think you may have tried to tell us where you are currently, but you cut out earlier. Sharon Lukaski wants to know, are you currently at Brighton Asylum? Is that where you're coming to us from? Or?
For me?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I am at Brighton Asylum in New Jersey, in Passaic, New Jersey.
There you go, Sharon. You nailed it. Lots of questions for you, Kenneth, about the work you've done. It's obviously great stuff. I'm going to be copying some of it this Halloween.
I already said that.
Well, I know you said it. I'm going to be doing the
buddy.
same thing. But,
I'm going to stop posting pictures.
Yeah, exactly. Well, speaking of posting stuff, Hills Horror Haunted House wants to know, do you have a YouTube page? What is your sort of social media presence for anyone who doesn't know?
Yeah, there's a K Studios Facebook page, and I have a personal Facebook page, and then there's a K Studios YouTube page. So if you go to YouTube and type in K Studios, we'll come up, and there's some videos on there. The videos that you were talking about. And a couple tutorial videos are on there too. Yeah.
Right. Plus, in the intro, there's all the sites are there in the intro of Hunters Hangout for this show.
There's links for all of the haunts and anything associated with John as well as Ken and Scott. So YouTube, Facebook, you name it, Instagram. If there's anything associated, all those links are there. So feel free to go back and take a look at those and click away. Ken, I do have to say that I did have the pleasure last year to go down and see some of your work firsthand down at Dark Hour, and to see it firsthand, to see it in pictures and video is one thing, but to actually be there and truly see what it's like, it is unreal. It just awe-inspiring. I do have to say that.
There's a level of detail there that is just incredible. Incredible.
Yeah, it's one thing to take a picture of it and post it. It's another thing to see it in person. I mean, there's no way a picture can ever convey exactly the size and scale and detail and all of that kind of stuff. Because there was a lot of Dark Hour that we worked on that for a long time.
A question from Jack Mack. Ken, with an extensive portfolio already, have you ever thought about putting together a how-to book or DVD for all of us who obviously love your work?
I'm sorry, can you ask again?
Jack Mack was wondering, given your portfolio, have you ever thought about putting together a how-to book or a DVD?
Yeah, a DVD actually was something that I was thinking about last year to have a Trans World, but like everything else, we just ran out of time. But yeah, I think a DVD with tutorials on it is something that's definitely on my radar. If not for the fall, then definitely for Trans World next year. Yeah.
Another question from Amanda Revenge wants to know what scares you most in the haunted house.
Revenge.
What scares me most in a haunted house? I find I'm not as scared in a haunted house when I go through now. Working in a haunted house late at night alone is the most terrifying thing. Because I don't know, people claim that their place is haunted, or they'll tell you their place is haunted, and then immediately I start hearing voices and hearing footsteps going down the hall when I'm here late at night by myself. So honestly, that's the scariest part for me is being alone and working alone at night, thinking I'm going to be attacked by some sort of demon.
Yeah, and hopefully nobody that works there is like watching this.
Yeah, exactly. They're like, oh, we're so gonna kick that out.
Let's get him now while he's chatting.
Yeah, if anybody who works there is currently watching this show, please head to the site and sneak up behind him on air so they can.
Tell them I will. No.
So a question from Lori Umdenstock. Ken, are you more inspired by other artists or the horror industry when you're creating a set or scene? Where do you kind of get your inspiration from?
It comes from everywhere. I think I kind of look around and, like, if I see something that I want to kind of create, then I just kind of create it. I don't know. I mean, it's just like I really love a good theme. I love a good theme, like pirates, or like here we have a nice, awesome hospital going on, or like a cemetery. So I love a good theme, and I think that concepts and things like that can really really grow and come to fruition through a theme like that. I think it helps a lot. But as far as inspiration, I mean, I get inspiration from everywhere. You get inspiration anywhere. At least I do.
So do you find yourself, Ken, as you walk down, it doesn't matter where you're at. And the good thing is you're traveling quite a bit. So you can pick up a lot of different things that you may not necessarily see down in Texas, that you may see in New Jersey or what have you.
Exactly,
You find yourself just stopping and taking all those mental notes. Are you the person who walks down and sees a particular brick texture and maybe a pipe that's leaked, and you're like, okay, that's what that is. That's what that looks like.
I wish that I could say yes, but honestly, no. I kind of see, I noticed that, there's different kinds of foliage here in New Jersey than there is in Texas, and I see that it actually dies in a different way in New Jersey than it does in Texas, or something rusts in a certain way here, and it doesn't rust in a certain way here, and it's kind of just like this Rolodex in my head where I can kind of keep in my mind the different ways things either rust or decay or distress as time goes on, and then I just can kind of pull that from my thought and kind of apply it to whatever I'm working on. But traveling helps, yeah, because there's a lot of inspiration that comes from everywhere, because everywhere is different.
Mm-hmm. So I take it like all of the projects you have always you draw it up first to give you the concept that you want to work on, like this one here. The Windows Station workstation.
I don't know if Ken can see that or not.
I'm sorry.
That was recently posted by you not too long ago, talking about the new Windows Station and stuff, and that scene looked awesome.
Well, I always try and do a whole project before I actually get on site and start, because it helps tremendously to know what you're going to be doing before you get there. It just helps a whole lot, and then you have a reference point. You know where you want to go. And it's just it's good to start with a good sketch of what you're going to be doing, I think.
Mary Powell wants to know, Ken, when working in haunts, typically, do they give you an idea that they want, and then you could go at it, or are you bringing them the ideas for what?
It varies. Yeah, it varies. Sometimes people will have a very specific idea of what they want and how they want it to look, and so I'll take that and sketch it out and draw it out and get it all set and ready to go, and either we can kind of get that idea to grow a little bit more and maybe make it a little bit better, and then there are other times where people are just like, which is great too. So
They
yeah,
just give you a room and say make this look cool, kind of.
yeah, or they, I show up at midnight from a flight from New Orleans to Chicago, and they say, "There's a plane in the wall. Can you make it look amazing?"
You know what though? You say that tongue in cheek, but that was the one thing I was thinking about when you were talking about having a scene and inspiration is the plane scene that you recently did.
Oh, that was awesome.
That
Oh,
was
God.
that was unreal. How I mean, you talk about just blowing it up. Now I don't know. Did that is that how that transpired? Was hey, we've got a plane.
Yeah, I just showed up at the haunt, and they had the plane. They had the plane kind of like mounted from the ceiling and into the wall, but there was just black walls. So they were like, just take this and make it look amazing. And so I did like all the bricks and things. So we had the plane. The plane was so we had to destroy the plane and distress the plane, and we did all the bricks in the walls, and we carved large chunks of the wings out of styrofoam and kind of wedged those into the walls too. So that's how that project happened.
Are you able to, Ken, are you able to talk a little bit about what you're doing currently at Brighton Asylum, or is that hush-hush secret stuff?
It is a little bit hush-hush. It's hush-hush until I can kind of... Well, this part is hush-hush because they don't have any more special events from now until October. Before, they had opened for, like Valentine's Day or something like that. But so from here on out, no one's going to see what I'm doing here until they open for October. So it's definitely like the coolest concept. I think it's interesting. I've never actually seen. I know that's such a taboo thing to say. To say like I'm doing something no one else has ever done. But really, it's just like a really cool idea that I just like stumbled across one day, because me and the owner were going back and forth about what we could do in the space, what would be really cool that would help move the theme forward and help him, transition from one thing to another while staying inside of this asylum theme, and we came up with this really, really cool idea that we're working on right now.
You sound pretty excited about it. That's excellent.
Yeah.
Restless Hollow wants to know, question, Ken, do you use forced perspective much in your sets? And if so, what scale do you typically use?
It varies. I mean, right now, we had to do a lot of adjustments to what we're working on right now because of the ceiling height. So I think what I have working right now is I have like 7 feet. I use 5 inches on the second level. So let's say we'll start with like an 8-foot being the first level that you have. And the next one would be like 7 feet, 6 inches, 7 feet, 7 inches, something like that. And the next one would be 7'4", 7'2", somewhere in that neighborhood. And that goes, you scale down every element of each level as you're going up.
And a question, Ken, from Jack Mack wants to know, what's the most challenging project that you've worked on to date?
To date, Dark Hour. Just because it was so...
Alan so
mean. I'm sorry?
Was Alan so mean?
He's so mean. He's so mean.
Yeah.
No, Dark Hour, because just the length of the project, and the scale of the... And we walked into the building, and it's for the store, I think. And when we walked in, it was literally like it was 4 black walls in this huge, enormous, expansive space. And this was probably like maybe the end of July, I think. And they wanted to open, in September. So it was a huge, huge project, and there was a lot of different elements that were in, like, we had architects that were there, electricians that were there, full teams of people in there just putting It was a huge project that spanned like
For
4
those that
months or
are
so.
unaware or haven't seen it, can you explain a little bit about that scene that you created for Dark Hour? Jose, do you have a photo or two?
I'm looking.
I'm sorry, did you show a picture of it?
He's looking for the picture.
Oh, okay.
He's looking to
I
see
caught
what
him
he's
off
got.
guard.
Yeah, don't do
Remember, we
that.
can't go so fast. Everybody
No,
just
actually,
slow
You know what?
down.
While Jose is looking for that, oh, there we go. See,
No, I
see if you
actually
got
don't
one.
think I actually don't
Nope.
think I have a picture of it. Hey, you can blame the girls for that one.
Well, can you
Well,
describe
Ken-
it a little bit for us,
And
Ken?
while we have him look for that, let's go. We'll go ahead and jump over to Scott. That'll give him a little chance to do that. And as we come back to you, maybe we can have those and we can talk about that a little bit further. Well,
Sure.
Scott, obviously we talked about some of the artistry and the handwork that Ken gets in, but we know that everything that you do is a lot of handwork and a lot of artistry. So we touched base a little bit on how you got started in the haunt aspect of it, but where did you start with the paper mache? What made you decide that this is going to be the medium of choice and this is what I enjoy?
In 1992, when we did our first yard, it was simple. It was the only thing I knew how to do. Looking back, I had an awesome high school art teacher. I took a lot of art classes, even though I didn't go to school for art or theater or anything. So in '92, I'm like, I close my eyes and I'm going, what did I learn in Mrs. Buell's class? Oh yeah, and it worked. And I've kept at it. I did give up on it for a while. Trying to think, it was like '94, '95, '96. I'm going, you know what? I want to do stuff that is a little bit more durable. So I happen to, my background is in television production, and I live in Midland, Michigan, which, if you don't know about Midland, it's the headquarters to Dow Chemical, and it's also the headquarters to Dow Corning Corporation. And it just so happened I happened to be doing a documentary with Dow Corning. They had agreed to make a mold of the oldest Native American skull that was found in this country. So I got to work with their molding expert. The entire time, it was like a 3-week shoot, as they're building the mold box and doing the molding and the casting and everything. And I got to know the guy in charge. And all I could think the entire time I'm shooting it is like, oh, this would be so awesome to do Halloween props this way. I asked the guy, his name was Bob Kelly, and Bob graciously came over to our house. He spent a couple hours with my wife and I going, you know what, to do silicone molding, this is what you need, give us information on Dow Corning product. So I tried my hand at it. It was successful. I liked it, but it was so expensive. I think even back in the, and I know there's different brands of silicone today, but using the Corning product, we were looking at, I think it was $500 for a 5-gallon pail. So, I mean, you're just,
Wow.
you're sitting here going, please don't let my mold box fail or whatever. And I did that for 3 or 4 years, but the thing that I like about paper mache is, well, number one, I mean, it's easy. It's so forgiving, and that's when I see people on forums and in different groups debating about what's the best paste recipe, what's the best way to make clay. The truth is, it all works. You would have to do something extremely drastic to make a paper mache paste that wasn't going to work. I don't know. You'd have to use sugar or something. It just didn't work. So it's extremely forgiving. And that's what I always tell people, especially when I teach classes. I'm like, don't get lost in the, when I say technical, I use that term loosely, but don't get lost in the, what recipe works best. Use your preference, whatever works. But the thing I like about it most is the expense. I mean, if I were, building this stuff out of, making clay sculpts and making silicone molds, I couldn't afford to do, 100, 125 pieces a year. It just wouldn't be possible financially. And with paper mache, the sky's the limit. The only thing that you're limited to is, how much time you have or are willing to invest in it, and your imagination. So,
Kathy
paper.
Kathy LeBeau wants to know, Scott, do you ever get tired of working with it? Do you ever dread it, like a lot of people seem to with paper mache?
Yeah, I see a lot of fear out there. Not so ever. In fact, if anything, I'm going on 23 years of making paper mache props. I mean, I do a lot of other stuff as well in paper mache that's not Halloween related. But no, if anything, my enthusiasm has gotten more intense, because what I find is every time I build a single piece, I have 1, 2, 3, 10, 12, 20 ideas that pop into my head going, you know what, on another project, if I did this, it would look like, and I write all that stuff down. So I have this list that, it's longer than I'm going to live. I guarantee you that. This huge list of going, someday you should try using a cookie dough extruder to push the, stuff like that. That when you get the time, it's like let's, I experiment, and no, I am not tired at all. In fact, my enthusiasm is probably more than it's ever been.
I'd love to see what your recyclable materials stash looks like.
It's actually and actually, for those that don't know, there's a picture of. We had a studio downtown Midland for 2 years. We just closed it up this past week, turned in the keys. It was a success. It was a riot. It was one of the best times of my life. But, financially, in the end, it didn't make sense. It didn't lose money. It pretty much broke even. But, you hate when the real world steps in, and it's like going, you know what, financially, you'd be much better off to just work out of your home. So I now have a home studio. If I do teach classes in the future, it will be in conjunction with another existing studio, and I've done that in the past, and it's worked really well. I'm sorry, I forgot the question. What was I even talking about here?
We were all just caught up listening, so don't worry about it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Sorry, go ahead, Scott.
Oh, I was just going to say, I haven't been paying attention to what pictures are shown there, but the one thing that anyone that would come visit our yard display, or if they would walk in the studio, because when we had the studio open, 1/3 of it was essentially a gallery. I don't use the word art. It was more of a prop gallery, but there were about 100 pieces on display. And the one thing that almost everyone that came in, they were amazed at the size of the pieces, because in a lot of the photographs there's no sort of reference. For the most part, I'm not standing in the picture, so you can't see how big they are. One of the pieces I did was called Taurus. It was a big like demon skull, and I brought this in just to give an idea of scale until it's actually held up.
Wow.
That's the size of it. You see photos online, wow, and you're thinking,
yeah,
that's a little life-size thing, So that's just, let me put him back, and everything's relative when you make stuff that big. Here's his chest plate. That's the size of just what his torso ended up being, and then the hands are, comparably just as large. But I heard that over and over again, people coming in going, oh, I saw pictures of your snowman class. I thought they were going to be this big, and in reality, we were making 3.5 foot tall snowmen. So that was just something, I have these pieces at the house now, so I just wanted to share just how big they actually are.
Now, Scott, you should.
No, I'm glad you did.
You definitely should call it art. But a question, one of the things that you've got going for you not only is just the technique of doing paper mache, but you've got really great characters, like all these different characters, and character design isn't always easy for everyone. Chris Ainsworth wants to know where do you get your inspiration to design all these characters?
You know what? Just like Ken said when he was asked about inspiration, seriously, it comes from everywhere you go. A trip to the supermarket, you'd be surprised. You know, the thing that I found is once you subconsciously start thinking about, you know, once you really get into this, and, you know, my mind is always thinking about this. It's like, oh, you know, um, whatever I'm attempting to make, you know, if it's in my subconscious and I make a trip to, you know, the grocery store and I'm in the meat department and I see a cut of meat that has a particular sort of marbling or whatever, I'll look at that and I'll be like, you know, awesome paint scheme for my next zombie. A good example. A good example. 2007.
At any point, Scott, at any point you find yourself saying that out loud to these people.
If I do, I just quickly walk away, and it's like, no. In 2007, I decided I wanted to make a threesome of witches, and just to show how that concept actually worked, I was at our a local grocery store, Myers. I know everyone doesn't. It's sort of like a Walmart, but it's sort of a Michigan, Ohio, Indiana-based type thing. Huge produce department. And I'm looking through the produce, and there's this ugliest vegetable I've ever seen called a celery root. It's sort of like a potato, and it was all knobby, and it had a green hue, and it was scaly. And I took one look at that, and I said, you know what, ta-da, there's the color palette for my witches, there's the skin texture. And at that time, you know, that was 2007, so, you know, everyone didn't have a camera on their cell phone. So I actually bought the dang celery root, brought it home, photographed it, and I designed those are the witches right there.
Yeah, there's the witches.
Yeah, you know, those guys were designed at least from a texture. I get really big into texture because we rely a lot, especially when I teach classes, on dry brushing. So texture is king. But those celery roots, you know, that was the forgive the pun, the root of the inspiration for those witches.
I have 100 questions here for Scott, but this next one is maybe the best question we've ever received here on Hunters Hangout. Question from Graves of the Grows. Scott, does it annoy you having Jay while riding your coattails with a paper mache?
That is a good one. No, there are, you know, the thing I've noticed, like I said, 2006 was about the first time I started joining the forums, you know, and there was sort of, you know, 2006, 2007, 2008, before Facebook came about, there were a lot of, you know, Halloween-specific or haunt-specific forums and sites. And I've just noticed over the last, how many years is that? What is it, 2015? Over the last 10 years or something, we've really seen what I would consider a renaissance in people turning to paper mache to make Halloween props. You know, there's, you know, tons of Facebook groups just dedicated to it. So no, I mean, you know, I'm a firm believer that, you know, you put the information out there to share. Yes, I do make some money off it. I do teach classes. I had the studio. I teach online workshops. But in general, you know, none of us invented paper mache, so, you know, share what you know, help someone else out, and, you know, it's a good thing.
We're going to get through a few more of these here. Scott, do you have, regarding paper mache, a few different people have asked this question. About weatherproofing them. Stevie Haunt here in Southern Ontario says, you know, we've had rain the last 4 Halloweens. Like, what do you suggest?
Right. The thing that I've resorted to teaching in the class, you know, I used to always, the one product that I do use, and I've used since like 2006, I use Minwax Hellsman Spar urethane on my props. It does a good job. They've been through downpours, you know, and they don't fall apart. That's not to say they don't get a little bit soft and get a little bit of water inside them. But you know what? I have yet to find the one product that's going to 100% waterproof your props. So my advice to anyone, and usually when we do our front yard, we have almost 200 paper mache pieces in our front yard, but I'm committed to babysitting the darn yard display. You know, I'm willing to, you know, if I'm looking at the radar and I know that, you know, we're going to have 6 inches of rain over the next 4 hours, you know, I'll get my butt out there and either tear down the paper mache pieces that can be damaged or cover them up, or, do whatever to protect them. I have yet to find anything that, you can spray it and leave it out for 2 months and be 100% confident, I guess I would use that word, that it's going to be safe. And I've done experiments. One year I left a pumpkin outside in our backyard, sitting on the picnic table, not even under trees, for 110 days. And when we pulled it back inside, there wasn't any visible signs of damage, but if you really like the stuff you've created and you don't want to see it get destroyed, just be willing to babysit it. The stuff is great to display, as long as you're willing to, just keep an eye on it and,
it's like having kids. Every once in a while, you got to let them inside the house, right?
Yeah.
Well, and Scott, on that note also, speaking of putting all of that work in and not wanting to see it destroyed, this might be a good segue to hit John up. And I know it's his favorite subject. I know where we're going.
I got a few questions about that right there.
Where's that CV? We're like, oh my God, we know what that is.
Well, John, without giving too much introduction, maybe I know you know where we're headed with this. If you could just tell us a little bit about what happened last year and how that all transpired.
Sure. Last year, we decided to do something brand new with our company. We designed a new haunted house that was a comedy horror. It was very much rooted in comedy, called Zombie Containment. And we built this beautiful haunt, took it to Riot Fest, which is a huge music festival in Chicago. It did incredibly well. It's well received. And then we took it and we put it on a barge and brought it to Navy Pier because Navy Pier was under construction. So we put the haunted house on a barge and had an amazing days of October. Got some great reviews. People loved the show. We loved the show. We were having the greatest time. And then on Halloween, because it had to be Halloween, at 10:30 in the morning on Halloween, I got a call about the weather. We had some choppy waves, and about 3-foot waves we're looking at, and pretty choppy. It was enough that I was concerned that an audience member could kind of lose their balance on the barge and hit their head. So in the interest of being cautious, we canceled the show because the storm was supposed to go all day. We thought that was going to be the hardest thing we had to do that day, was cancel Halloween, which was a real hard thing to do as a haunted house owner.
Oh, yeah.
We thought that was going to be the hard part of the day. But those 3-foot waves turned into 21, 24-foot waves.
Wow.
And hit Navy Pier coming in from the northeast. Our haunted house was on the corner, the northeast corner. And we took the full brunt of the storm. And 23-foot waves. It was absolutely incredible to watch a 131-foot-long barge just get tossed around like a toy on Lake Michigan. And,
the video footage was insane.
Yeah, it really was like being in some sort of apocalypse movie. Sidewalks exploding, water shooting out of walls. They evacuated Navy Pier for the first time in history. That's how bad it was. It's never happened to Chicago. Sections of sidewalks were just being ripped away along Lakeshore and dropped, 70 feet away. So in that, my baby, my little haunted house, got its ass kicked. And eventually, the hull was breached when it was slammed into the pier.
Man.
And it sank. It sank on us. And all of it went to the bottom of Lake Michigan.
I hear tell there's still 50 zombies missing, or have any washed ashore yet?
There's about 45 zombies missing at the moment. That was something, we watched it sink. It wasn't a fast thing. It took hours for it to actually sink. And I was there with the Coast Guard and the police and the fire department during the whole process. And at one point, I turned to the Coast Guard. I'm like, I am real sorry, guys. And I looked at the cops, and I'm like, I'm sorry for you and the fire department, you too. And they looked at me, they're like, why? It's your haunted house. We feel bad for you. You're losing everything. I'm like, yeah, but you're going to have a very busy spring and summer. And body parts start washing up at family parties on Lake Michigan and summer houses all through Wisconsin, Indiana, and the state of Michigan. And they kind of laughed about it. And then 2 days later,
Yeah.
the Coast Guard rescued a zombie a mile offshore.
Yeah, those pictures and the footage was priceless. That was the best part. It didn't take long at all, and here they are coming in and rescuing a zombie. That was great.
Yeah. So that's what happened. That's what happened to us on Halloween. So it was a joke going around with me and my other fellow haunters because Halloween could be a crazy night in the haunted house, and some of them hadn't heard about what happened to us. So when I'd see them at Legendary, they're like, "Oh, my Halloween sucked. I tell you what, I got an inch of rain." And I was like, "Yeah, let me tell you about my haunted house."
So a question from Melissa Broberg wants to know, would you ever do another haunt on a barge?
Absolutely.
Yeah?
Absolutely, without hesitation. It was a success. It was a great time. Sometimes, nature goes sideways on you. And that's whether your haunted house is on a barge or it's in a trailer park and there's a tornado nearby. Or there's a fire or, I don't know, sinkhole. Things can go bad. Sometimes things can go real bad. And at no point did we ever go, it only went bad because we put it on a barge. Sometimes life goes sideways.
John, one thing that comes to mind, and it came to mind immediately, for me at least, when I heard about the fact that it had sunk, and the first thing I thought was, wow, that was actually pretty creative to utilize the barge and go that route, only from the fact that I'm thinking, okay, it's Chicago, land cost, rent, everything that you can imagine is just through the roof.
Yep.
And I thought, the barge, I was thinking that was a creative business move because I can only imagine just from a cost standpoint, and not only that, but it's marketing, it's everything. It's something that's completely different. Did that drive part of that, of why it went onto a barge, or was it just a whole different thing?
No, I mean, it was really based out of need and this, necessity. Really, we've been doing a haunted house at Navy Pier since 2008. We've owned the haunted house there. It's our haunted house. But Navy Pier is going through this huge reconstruction, remodeling. So what it came down to is there was just literally no square footage on the ground that didn't have construction coming. So we had to figure something out. We had no ground. So we got creative and thought, well, put a barge there. They do lots of things on barges.
Yeah.
And then we just kind of rolled with our concept, and then I destroyed my old concept and burned it and literally burned the old haunted house to release its spirit. And then we kind of started over, brand new concept, brand new story. I wanted to do something new. If we're going to be on a barge, I wanted a new story, a new concept, a new everything. And that's where I kind of started going, well, why can't a haunted house be a comedy? Why not? There's lots of comedy. Comedy horror is one of the most popular genres in film, and so we wanted to do something new. And I mean, I'm a filmmaker. I make comedy horrors. So that's kind of the direction we went. So all of it was, a new move for us as a company. And especially going to Riot Fest. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Riot Fest, but it's only second to Lollapalooza in Chicago. It does 120,000 people or something in 3 days. And so we were at Riot Fest with this haunted house first. We premiered it there, and we're like, okay, let's find out if the comedy thing works at a punk rock festival. Let's see if they dig the comedy here. Like everyone's tattooed and mohawked, and I'm like, oh, I hope they like it. We couldn't have gotten any luckier. Guar came through the haunted house twice.
Oh yeah.
And then went back and got other people from the artist tent to come do it. And Macaulay Culkin came and saw it because he's in a band there. So we had a great opening. So it was a fun project. It really was. And as disappointing as it ended, I wouldn't trade any of it. We learned a lot, and we really had a lot of fun creating that show.
I'm curious, with all of that happening on Halloween, obviously you were involved with trying to put out that particular fire. How was it running Statesville at the same time that all that other stuff was going on? I mean, that had to have been...
It was awful, actually. Because you gotta watch it sink. Yeah, captain can't leave till it sinks. Learned that from the Costa de Concordia. But so we watched it sink, and I made the calls to Statesville. I let the people who needed to know what was going on. I tried to keep it secret as much as I could. 'Cause I didn't want my kids to know about it. I got 170. I call them all kids. I mean, even though a lot of them are in their 20s and 30s. But I have a bunch of them about to do their Halloween show. And I didn't want them to know that the company that they work for just lost everything before the show. So I tried to keep it under wraps. I called my brother Kyle, who is my assistant production manager, and told him I'm not going to make it on time. So he ran the show. But once everything was said and done at Navy Pier, I drove down to Statesville because it was Halloween, and I decided to dress up as a customer, which I don't ever do. I'm always in costume. Every show, I'm in character in costume. So I went in with my little hoodie and kind of walked in and did the whole line thing and went through the haunted house as an audience member on Halloween, and it was the most uplifting thing I could have done to see all of them and to see the show as an audience member. It was a nice way to kind of end a really horrible Halloween. It was really, really great. I got a lot of hugs that night.
That leads into another question from Bruce Janzer. He wanted to know, do you play a character in the haunt or you stay behind the scenes? You said you always play something. Do you prefer to scare act or work the queue line, or what do you generally like to do?
Oh, it's all of it. I mean, I have a character at Statesville. I have two at Statesville, but one is the main character, Captain Flag. He is the soldier of the warden that is basically in charge of processing the meat, which means that it's a character designed so that I can entertain up front if need be. But my job is I'm a director. That's my nightly duty is I'm the production manager, but really I'm the director of the show. So I feel it's best to be in costume when I'm going through that show. And if I'm going to give direction to an actor, I want to be able to do that part with that actor in that room until I feel it's right. So no one wants a director in plain clothes talking to an actor when audience members are going by. But if I'm in character, I can work every room, make sure that the machine is doing what the machine is supposed to do. And then I also get to do the fun part, which is messing with audience members and having fun or singing them show tunes. Nothing more uncomfortable than a guy covered in leather and spikes singing his show tunes. I get to have fun with it all. Yeah, costume every night for sure.
On the question of actors, Chris Ainsworth wants to know what makes a really good haunt actor.
What I look for, personally, is I'm looking for someone who has no problem looking like a complete idiot, honestly. I want you to be as ridiculous and silly as possible. I'm not looking for badasses or hardasses or the most evil. I'm looking for people that want to have fun and are going to be ridiculous, because at the end of the day, remove the lights, the sound, the makeup, the costumes, the building, and we all look really stupid jumping around in a field. So I need that. I need that person that's going to just be silly for me. We'll make you scary. That's what we do. We design this stuff to enable you to be scary. But I'm looking for people who will just give me their energy, who want to do this. And we'll take care of the other parts. We'll train you and we'll give you the right room and direct you. But I need people who have great energy and want to play. And if you want to play and you're fun to play with, that's what we're looking for. We want a team of people that are having fun playing with each other all month.
That reminds me actually of one of your actors that is in a diaper, and that's it. And in the room with the roaches.
Uh-huh.
And I believe he breastfed one of the roaches.
Yeah. He breastfed. Yeah. Not by my direction. Yeah, he came up with that little nugget all on his own, and that's one of the things we try to do is I try to give the actors the tools that they need to succeed at this. There's our football team. Yeah, we actually have a football team, and that's the majority of our football team right there. But what I try to do is, I give them everything they need: the costume, the makeup, the storyline, the lighting. I design my rooms to empower actors. That's my core design principle. And at the end of the day, though, you got to let them loose a little too. You got to give them enough rope to let them be that creative animal that they are, because they are going to inevitably give you things that you never thought of. They're going to surprise you. And sometimes those surprises, not good. Sometimes you gotta go, no. But it's the gold that you end up finding in some of these kids, and it's the ones that, it's the ones you never see it coming from. That's my favorite. It's my technicians are often my best actors. Someone who is not used to talking in front of people or being in the spotlight. Put them in the dark, give them a flashlight, and suddenly the power goes to their head. And my technicians become incredible haunted house actors. So you never know. You never know who's going to be your greatest actor. You never know.
A couple of questions for you about Statesville. Marine Prize wants to know, when you add to it, are you working within the existing size, or are you adding to the overall square footage of it?
Sure.
And second of all, Mary Fentner wants to know, do you own the building that the haunt is in? So
yeah, okay. First to Mary, Paul Siegel owns the building that we're in. He's the farmer. They've owned the property for over 100 years, the family. So we're on a nice historical family farm there. And as to the expanding it, we try to make it bigger square footage as often as possible. So we've gone as far as to building entire new buildings to increase our show. Our show now is more than double the square foot it was, just 8 years ago. And we're always trying to expand it. So, like,
how many square feet? How many square feet is it now?
Well, we doubled just in the last 8 years. But as a haunt, in total.
To what though? Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. So right now we're just around 15,000. Wow. Which is not big. If you look at some of these big haunts in the industry, 15,000 is not very big. But we never had a lot of space to begin with. So we design in square inches instead of square feet. So we have our patrons inside that space in our show for between 40 and 50 minutes, depending on what night of the week it is. So we really turned it into a very long show for the audience member, even though the square footage is somewhat limiting.
Excellent. And Amanda Ravage wants to know, John, do you have anything special planned for the legendary haunt tour?
Oh, yeah, my people are coming to
Yes, tell us, John, tell us.
You're coming to Zombie Army's town. Yeah, we're excited, and we got a lot special planned. So if you guys are thinking about coming to Legendary Haunt Tour, come to Legendary. It's going to be a blast. Definitely, we're incredibly excited to have Statesville and Legendary Haunt Tour. It's like, it's having your treehouse and getting to invite all your friends to see your treehouse. We're real thrilled about that, and we look forward to throwing y'all a good party too. So, but we'll have a bunch of little surprises that we're not releasing yet. But yeah, we got a big surprise coming up for the industry in 2015 that we have not yet released.
That's a lot of what Zombie Army does, right? You throw some pretty big parties. So you've got some involvement with MHC and the Haunted Hoochie coming up, I believe. You've also got, of course, you had the Price is Right with Transworld, which will be changing in the future, I understand. So why don't you talk a little bit about some of those parties and some of those things that you do as well?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, early in my haunted house career, of course I was taking jobs at whatever I could. I was working 3 shifts to make enough money so I could do haunted houses. In the first few years failed miserably. But one of my jobs was party planner. I was a party planner. I planned bar mitzvahs, I planned birthday parties, I planned all sorts of stuff. And I've always been the guy that threw parties. So it's like, through college, I was always one throwing parties anyway, and I live in a house full of, there's like 7 of us all lived together for years and years and years after college. So it just came natural to throw parties, and then all of a sudden someone was paying me to throw parties, which is, that's fun. And then, as our haunted house company grew and as Zombie Army grew, I wanted Zombie Army to do more than just haunted houses. I wanted us to make films and do theater and do other projects. And then I thought about parties because, parties is just a great way not to reward your people, but also to keep your audience engaged. So in Chicago, I want to keep my audience engaged with what Zombie Army is doing. So we do a party every season to kind of keep that core audience close to what we're doing. So, and that's now grown into the convention world. You know, we do Zombie Prom, Zombie Christmas, Zombie Army games all here in Chicago, but now we're doing parties for Trans World, for MHC. You know, it's a lot of fun doing that. We're throwing a bus party at Haunted Hoochie, which I gotta tell you, I'm really happy about that because I love Haunted Hoochie. I love your shirt right now. I love that shirt. Haunted Hoochie is like one of my all-time favorite haunted houses. I had such a great time when I went through that haunted house that I danced all the way through it. I was so excited. So the idea that we get to go back.
Thank you, John. Thank you, because that means I'm finally not the only one that I felt like I danced all the way through the whole thing.
Yeah.
Jose probably would have, but he carried Margaret the whole way while I stood in front of him dancing. I was like, yeah, let's go, come on. It's the whole way through. I was like,
I tell you what,
this place
I danced so much that my phone fell out of my pocket. I lost it. It got crushed into a bunch of pieces, and I didn't care. I just didn't care. I had such a great time, and I'm like, it's a phone.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're looking forward to MHC and having another Zombie Army bus party at Haunted Hoochie. It's going to be fun.
Oh, yeah.
A couple other questions about actors in your haunt. Jeffersano wants to know how many actors you have, and then Richard Crosby has a curious twist on that. How old is your oldest actor? I don't know why he wants to know, but...
Yeah, all right. I have, on any given night at Statesville, we are about 150 to 176 actors.
Wow.
Depending on how we're doing. You know, I do a little bit of overflow hiring for my big nights, my big Saturdays. The oldest actor really depends. I mean, it's definitely have had actors in their 60s, you know, definitely. So, yeah, the whole range. When I started, I had actors that were 8. Because when I started, it was me, a few of my college friends, and all of my little brothers and sisters and my nieces and nephews. Well, I could. So, yeah, I started with a whole lot of little kids.
And Teresa Nordaby wants to know, do you have volunteer or paid actors or both?
We are, I prefer everyone has a contract, everyone gets paid. We're collecting money at the ticket booth. You should get paid for your sweat and more for your blood. But we also then have those people that, you know, didn't do auditions and they didn't go through training, but they're curious and they want to, you know, they want to jump in. So we make a little bit of room for volunteers to kind of pop in here and there, but we are 99.5% professional.
Excellent. Excellent.
Mary Fender wants to know, John, where did you get your costume?
Hi, Mary.
Matter of fact, you know what, John? We might as well just cut it off here. We might as well just cut to the chase. Mary might as well ask for your home address, your telephone number.
I'm pretty sure we're Facebook friends. Well, I'm sorry, I did miss the question though when I was saying hi. What did Mary ask?
She wants to know where you got the costume that you wear at the haunt. It's awesome, and is it hot?
My costume weighs like 48 pounds, so it's like almost 50 pounds. It was mainly made by me collecting junk, you know, and let's see, I think
Hunter Spirit.
Yeah, I bought the mask, that leather thing, at some weird sex website, and then, you know, I got some football pads, and then I went to a cool little punk rock record store and bought some spikes, and just found stuff that I kind of weaved into the character. So yeah, a lot of it is just me finding pieces and putting it together.
John, one thing that comes to mind, and I don't know why it did. It just popped in my head. But you know, we've talked to Alan Hops many a times.
Love Alan Hops.
And Alan, the correlation here is the fact that Alan has never had what most people would consider a traditional job. You know, when he early on he said, "This is what I'm doing. Haunt's what I enjoy," and and he made that success and did that. I know that you went to college, but has this primarily been it for you? I mean, all haunting and I don't know. Has there been something more way before this?
No, I mean, I came out of college with the primary goal to start a theater group that specializes in haunted houses. That was the mission. You know, that was my goal. So I graduated and I went right at it. I was, amazed. I'm sure all of you are too, that there weren't just all these jobs for a guy that wanted to run a haunted house in the late 90s. So I had to take on lots of other jobs to support my addiction to wanting to be a haunted house guy. And I'm an actor too. I mean, that's my, main love in life is being an actor, whether it's theater or film. So I still do that. I still do some TV stuff and film stuff and make movies, and that's kind of like the other half of my life is that. But primarily my job, my day job is haunted houses, and it always was, even when I had all those other jobs. I mean, I was a framer on a job site building townhomes, and I was working for an events company doing the bar mitzvahs, and I dress up as Spider-Man for kids' birthday parties, and I was a gorilla at a bar mitzvah. I mean, I did all sorts of crazy jobs to just keep doing this until it was financially successive. At one point, I built air domes that you play golf in. Yeah, so I got all sorts of weird.
This is what you have to do to be like this man. When you think you're going through some times, no.
Yeah, I mean,
when you're truly passionate about something,
yes.
It was like I always tell people, like, I mean, I meet a lot of kids, young kids. They're like, "I want what you have." I'm like, "Awesome! Get ready for 5 years of pain before any of it looks good." That's what I had. But that's the fun of it, though, is that when you find something you love in this industry, it's filled with people that love it, and they do it because they love it. You will risk everything over and over and over and over again to do it. I just said I'd put a haunted house on a barge again. So clearly, I'll keep risking to do it. In the first year I did it, I made $1.20 an hour. The second year I did it, I lost $20,000. So I had to get another job and work into like the graveyard shift to save up enough money to try doing it again. That's the nature of it all. And that's also it's a great thing about this country with being able to build your own business like that. It's succeed, fail, just keep at it. Your failures are your greatest assets. It's fail, and love it and embrace it.
And you talked about
definitely thought that Ram was the hardest working haunter around.
Oh, yeah.
But his title has been stripped.
I don't know. I think as we were talking, I think Ed was over there booking his next route on over to Chicago because he's like, "Oh yeah, John hadn't seen nothing yet. Wait till I get a room."
Oh yeah, no, and that's one of my goals in life. Is like, as a business owner, I try to surround myself with people smarter than me. I mean, at one point, I did all the costumes and makeup. I mean, that's not a good thing, But I let it go as soon as I find someone smarter than me at it. And yeah, I'd love to have Ken out. Ken, I got this project going. You're gonna love it. Can't talk about it like that, but it's beautiful.
Hey, Ken, the good news is it's on a new barge, so it's got plenty of space. The good news is, the weather could turn tomorrow. You just never know.
John, speaking of great teams, you've got, and the people you surround yourself with, you've got a pretty good one. You mentioned Kyle. I know your other brother, Bobby, is involved as well. You've got Chad, and you've got Jeff Walker, a.k.a. Stalker and Fluffy. Those are the people we know. Can you tell us a little bit about some of those people and how valuable they are to you and what they do? Oh,
geez. Yeah. I mean, yeah, of course, I've talked about Teresa already, and we're talking about a haunted couple. It's like as I'm doing this here, she's still painting at the haunted house. I'm lucky that I have that. But I also am incredibly lucky that I get to work with my little brothers. It's Bobby and Kyle. And I can't. It's like winning the lottery to have them as part of the company, and that they love it as well. And they didn't. It's like when they were high school, little punks. They're off being cool. But they always worked the show as an actor. But it wasn't until they were out of school that they, started doing this. And it was great. Kyle went to school and learned to be a designer. So, it's amazing that my right hand man is also, the guy that takes everything in my head and puts it in CAD drawings, so people can interpret my madness. And to have Bobby there, who I know has my back and is running my crew day in and day out, is just it's solid gold. And my mom works for us, my dad works for us, my cousins. So it's in the way that I get to work with my family. It's like I won the lottery a while ago. And Chad Savage, to have Chad Savage as your guy, your web guy, graphics guy, that's huge. Chad is family to me now for sure.
John, we're going to move on to Ken, but I have one more question I want to ask you from Crawdaddy Games. John, where can someone read your thesis paper?
Jeez. Never
can you make that publicly available, please?
I probably can. Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Great question. You know what? That is good. We all laugh, but man, if we could only know. That's for sure.
Well, Ken, we know you're on limited battery here, so we have a bunch of questions for you here. I've got one here from Gothgloom wants to know, Ken, do you have a full crew, or is it just you doing all this great work?
It's usually me and one or two other people for 8 hours a day, and then they'll usually leave me around 5 or 6, and then I'll work from 6 till midnight alone.
And Jack Mac had the question for you, Ken. I know you do outstanding sets and facades. Have you ever worked on like props or costumes?
Yes, I actually did costumes for Rise Haunted House, which is at home in Louisiana. They're watching right now. When I first started working with those guys, I did a lot of their costumes for their haunt, and but when it comes to like making things, I make probably 9 one specific set. So yeah, I do make a lot of smaller things.
And Lish, I don't know how you pronounce that, wants you to talk a little bit about lighting in your scenes.
Who asked that question?
Nlaiche, Nlaiche. If you know who that is.
Yeah, I know who that is.
Okay.
Helps a bit. It's probably what he wants. He's actually, I'm in the process of learning how to make my own, LED spots and LED bulbs and all kinds of things like that. And Leish has helped me quite a bit in teaching me how to do that kind of stuff.
Carol Kine wants to know, Ken, I've seen you layer foam into amazing things. Do you use any kind of computers or other design mediums, or do you just sort of naturally think in 3 dimensions?
Well, I never thought of it like that, but I guess I kind of naturally think in 3 dimensions. Because I don't use any kind of computer program or anything like that. If I'm going to make something, I usually draw it out by hand first and then just make it.
Yeah, you had spoken earlier about the details and taking the inspiration from everywhere, and what I find so amazing is that it seems that when we talk about those incredible details, that you have these powers of observation that come into play that maybe not many people see. And can you talk about that a little bit?
About my powers of observation?
Yeah. It seems like you're talking about.
Pandora always goes for the deep questions.
Sorry, I'm Barbara Walters of the Hunters Hangout here.
I guess haven't really realized that it's happening, that observation thing. Because I guess in some part of my mind I'm thinking I could use that later on, so let me try to remember it forever, and that's probably why I forget where I put my keys every 20 minutes. Because I don't know, I guess like I said before, I kind of file it away in my mind as far as how something might look or something like that, just so I can reference it later. But I also kind of think that just kind of think about it for a minute, why it would be made or how it would fall apart or distress, and then make that happen.
From an artist's perspective, that's a very big deal. I applaud you for that, for sure.
Oh, thank you.
I have a sort of a little bit more of nuts and bolts question from Abinai Geocacher wants to know, Kenneth, what's the best method for attaching PVC pipe to a wooden wall panel for a boiler room rusty water pipe scene?
I actually missed the first part of that question. Can you say it again?
Sure. Wanted to know what's the best method for attaching PVC pipe to a wall panel when you're doing like a rusted boiler room scene with rusted pipes and stuff like that.
Yeah. That's something that I'm still working on. I think I have two options that I do. Screw directly into the wall, and then use like a stucco or a concrete to kind of area where pipe meets the wall to kind of hide that seam a little bit, and then later on I can do rusting to that kind of hides where the pipe meets the wall a little bit, and you can kind of disguise that screw. Also, what I recently started to do a lot is just cutting out flanges from just plywood. So I would just cut out a circle and then cut out a circle in the center that the pipe can fit into, wood flange to the wall, and then attach the pipe to the inside of that smaller circle using like some epoxy or something like that. That's the two ways that I normally do it.
And another question from Abinai. Kenneth, did you do any of the work at the 13th Gate Haunted House in Baton Rouge?
No, never did any work there. Been there many times, and it's amazing, and like, you know, out of a dream. But no, unfortunately, no, I haven't done anything at 13th Gate.
So it's safe to say that that's a goal.
It's a goal. And I'm running towards it with the speed of a turtle.
You'll be busy up here in Chicago. You'll be way too busy.
I can't do Chicago. It's too cold. It's too cold in there. No.
I have personal people.
I know he's in New Jersey now. He's in New
cold
Jersey
right
now
now.
talking about how cold it is.
It's like 60 degrees. I'm cold right now.
Dude, hey, Ken, I am totally with you, brother. I'm allergic to it, man. My shit's like, looking out the window, I'm like, no, I'm not going out there.
No, it's just rough. Oh, and then after this, I have to get up and walk around and do stuff, and I know that my joints are going to be hurting.
Now, you talked a little bit about the sort of the most complicated sets that you've worked on. Mary Powell wants to know what's your favorite set you've ever worked on. Maybe you could tell us why.
I can tell you very quickly right away what it is, and it's the stuff that I'm working on right now. I decided that a few weeks ago, after we finished the design process. Yeah, it's what I'm working on right now. Hopefully I'll be able to post a few pictures when it's finished, but it's just such a cool concept, like I talked about before. So right now, currently, this is my favorite thing. If I had to choose a number 2, I would say that it was, as simple as it was, it would definitely be the cottage facade that I did at Dark Hour, which was right when you walk into the doors of Dark Hour, we did like a witch cottage.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just, that was one of those things that we did over like a 4-day period, and it was, you know, they asked for something simple that could be work with the witch animation that they had there, and that's what I came up with. But it, you know, so it was a simple design, but I just liked the aesthetic of it. I just thought it was really cool, very like kind of hocus pocus kind of inspired kind of thing, and I love that. That would be number 2.
Ken, I gotta just knowing that you work with a lot of foam and different materials. Is there a go-to tool that you seem to use all the time?
a razor blade, like a razor knife, a DeWalt razor knife, the kind that extends really long and it's pretty thick. If I was given the choice between that and anything else, I would choose the razor because I feel like I can do a lot with that razor. I can cut the foam, I can do bricks with the foam, I can carve out sections of the foam if I want to do falling rock or anything like that. So when I'm doing foam, yeah, I love my razor blade. I also love a blowtorch too.
We watch the videos. Yeah, we know.
Just out of curiosity, then, Ken, do you, because you're traveling, I mean, does all this go into checked baggage, or do you request it from the people you're going to work for when you get there?
Usually, it's, well, up to now, it's always been everything is I either send out a supply list before I get there, and they have most of the stuff already ordered and shipped in and ready to use, or we can make a trip to Home Depot once I arrive. But as far as like,
blowtorch probably wouldn't be all that great on a
blowtorch
plane
would be
anyway.
unacceptable. It would not work.
But you know what though, especially when you're talking about that blade, that specific blade, regardless of the blade itself, the handle and everything else, if it's like me, there's just those a couple little go-to tools that it doesn't matter if it's the same thing and it's brand new from somewhere else, it still doesn't feel the same and it's not going to be the same. Is that something that you end up shipping ahead of time or throwing in your checked baggage, or you're okay with, hey, if it's a new one, I'm good? No,
I'm okay with whatever. If it's a new one, it's fine. If it's the one that I used 6 months ago, the last time I was here working on something, that's fine. I mean, I'm not like very a stickler with where I have to have this, this, and this, or else I can't work. I'm very easygoing and very flowy when it comes to how and what I'm using to get the job done.
Gotcha. By the way, I just want to clarify. John sent me that question because it was more of like a resume kind of question to make sure that you didn't need like all green M&Ms and a certain candle lit or anything like that.
Behind the stage stuff going on.
I only work with waterlogged zombies. Sorry.
Jeff Mays wants to know about, have you ever thought of doing tutorials?
Yeah, definitely. People have asked me that before, not just on here, but at Transworld and on Con and places like that. People are always interested in if I'm going to be doing tutorial videos, and you know, the interest has grown quite a bit over the past few months. So it's something I'm definitely entertaining the idea of doing, maybe later in the year, and debuting maybe some DVDs and videos at Transworld next year. But definitely that's on my radar.
Do you think it'll bug you, like, to actually put out a tutorial and like have everybody try to copy it? I mean, I think I would be like, you know, but you want to give back, but then you're still like, you know, I did this.
You mean like, do I want to keep some of my own little secrets to myself?
Yeah. That's what I mean.
Yeah, there are some things that I am not going to divulge, but I also feel like, well, I mean, like John said earlier, I mean, I feel really lucky and blessed to be able to do this every day as a living. And you know, if I find some great techniques that I come across by accident, I don't mind showing other people how I do it. And I feel like, I mean, it might come out sounding the wrong way, but I do feel like I can post a video of how I do everything step by step by step. But I think unless you have a little bit of an inkling of what you're doing or what direction you're going to go,
what you want it to look like, and
then you really, I mean, you have to have a little bit of know-how to actually pull it off. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Question from Logan Roush wants to know if you're coming to MHC, Ken.
I'm not. No, I won't be at MHC. My schedule is pretty full. I'm in New Jersey, then Buffalo, then I'm back to New Jersey, and then Indiana, Florida, back and forth, and it's like that through the end of September. So unfortunately, no, I won't be at MHC.
Okay, hold on.
What a depressing
you just
show, man. Everybody's so busy with hot stuff.
Yeah. You just said Indiana. I think you're gonna have to send me a message and let me know where in Indiana and at what time.
Dude, do not
And
do
can I
it. 'Cause
recommend
you'll
giving
never
him-
get nothing done. You'll
Yeah.
nothing done.
Recommend giving him a false location and a false time.
Wait a minute, I'm not Mary trying to stalk John here. This is okay then.
Hey, leave Mary alone.
Hey, don't mess with me.
I think Mary's passed out. She hasn't commented since you mentioned.
No, she's there.
Oh, is she?
She was
She's
telling me
there.
earlier that she wasn't able to think of any questions for me, but
Question from
Mary
question,
and I are tied for non-stalking, for sure.
question for Ken from Dave Boston. Have you in the past ever did you ever do a home hunt? Have you ever been involved with any home hunts, or have you always been in the pro world?
no, I think when I was like, I don't know, in my very early 20s, I did a small haunted house in the woods behind my house. But other than that, no, I have never done any real home haunting before I went into working with professional haunted houses. It kind of went being from helping out different haunts in Louisiana to doing a full-time kind of set design thing for professional haunts.
So basically, you just jumped in it and you were just like fantastic with it. Basically, you're like, yeah, I'm just walking around. Okay, I'll do haunted house. Bam! It's like bam! Everybody's dropping their brochures, going, oh fuck! I'm not good at all.
No, I mean, I'm not one of those people that's going to be like, me, I'm wonderful, fabulous, whatever. But, I mean, to be perfectly honest, yes, that's exactly how it happened. I just literally fell into it face
That's what it
first.
sounds like. It's like we're all trying to be great, and you just walked up and they're like, oh, you want to do haunted house? Ah, let me see. Pow! It's like, damn.
It didn't start out being, as good as it might be now. I mean, it's been a process. I mean, it's always a learning process. I'm always learning something new or discovering a new technique or something. So, no one starts out being the best. It's been, I've learned a lot, and it's been a lot of work. But, yeah.
Who in the industry have you sort of taken influence from or been inspired by?
I really get inspired by, I love the work that Dead House Designs does. I think they do really, really incredible work. I mean, I've been lucky enough to work with them on quite a few projects over the past few months and last year too. But I think that the work that they do is so, it's so good and it's so thorough. I try and sit and think of every single detail that I can add to a scene. And then when I look at something they've done, it's like they've thought of every single detail for the scene and then detailed every single detail in that scene. And that's just what I see when I see their work. So I really look up to them. I think they do really incredible work.
Well, damn, I just got like a new hate. I hate couples, Texans, and I hate you.
I was going to say that.
Wow.
There's three of them now.
That's the first ever direct hatred to a human being.
That was my first. I was just so jealous of the skill he had, and he just walked in and it was like, oh, okay, I'll do it. Bam. It was like, oh man, I totally suck now.
On that note,
Take it as flattery, everybody. It's flattery. Jose hates you, it's flattery.
And on that note, speaking of, while we're on the subject of hatred, I know there's one thing that Jose has a complete love-hate relationship for. It's like as soon as he forgets about it, he's like, okay, I'll do that again. I'll dive in, and you're like, wow, I hate this.
Yeah.
And that's paper mache.
I do it too. Hey, when I hate stuff, that means it's like my biggest love, and that's why I hate it, because I can't do it as good.
Yeah.
I did it one time.
So I know that all this stuff, I love the fact that all this stuff is right behind Scott, because I know the whole time Jose's looking at it going, my God, he just cringes looking at it every time. I know it.
Yeah, Scott's a bastard.
Oh yeah, Jose hates you too. Don't worry. Everyone should be like.
All right.
We don't want someone to leave feeling unhated.
Feeling the love, guys. Thanks.
That's right.
Hey Scott, one thing that always stuck in my mind for the longest time is, I guess it's your local community. It's been a while since I've dove into it and looked at it, but I remember this large, and I wish I could remember his name. You made this massive sculpture and prop, and it was for something that your town does. It seemed like they did every year. I don't think they do that anymore because I don't think I remember seeing anything for quite some time about that. But
it was a big old troll.
That's it.
Yeah, Boris the Bolter. Yeah, our city still does it. Every summer, our downtown, our old historic downtown, which has been remodeled and it's beautiful and such, every February they come up with a theme for a series of downtown sculptures. And for 2 years, I've participated in that. The first year, I did one of the trolls. There's a huge ass story as to why we do trolls. I won't even get into it. If you want to learn about it, Google Midland trolls, and you'll figure out why we do trolls. But anyway, I ended up making I think the guy was probably over 200 pounds, maybe 250 pound paper mache troll sculpture. He was about 4 feet high, big fat dude. He was pretty cool. Well, we have this thing in Midland called the Tridge. It's actually a bridge that goes over a river that converges, so it has 3 legs, and there's this like backstory about the troll being under the Tridge. But anyway, the guy I built had a big old bolt, and the story behind him was we weren't sure if he was a good guy or a bad guy, if he would every night come and tighten the bolts on the Tridge or if he would loosen them. But yeah, his name was Boris the Bolter. And the only reason I went into that long story is so you know why he was called Boris the Bolter.
There you go.
But anyway, yeah, he was fun.
Logan Roush asked about him earlier. He wanted to know what happened to him now.
Yeah, where is he?
At the end of the sculptures are displayed in our downtown area from June through the first part of September, and then they go to auction, and they're auctioned off to pay for next year's sculpture series. So he went to auction. Somebody bought him. Well, in fact, he's actually I'm in contact with the people that bought him. They're actually a couple. They live about 20 miles away from here on one of our local lakes. Built a gazebo to house him in during the summer, so he's on display in their front yard. But when they got him, they didn't realize he was paper mache, and they had just gotten a new puppy. And the puppy ate his toenail off. So I've told him, you know what, I'll make a trip out there. I'll bring some clay and some paste and some paint, and I'll patch up Boris for you. But no, it's a cool thing that our city does. I did one a couple years ago, a large 6-foot-tall praying mantis, but that was made out of plywood versus paper mache. It was just a little. It was the better medium to make the mantis out of.
Now, Scott, we have a couple of questions about large props, so that segues nicely. Maureen Perez wants to know what's the best armature for large props, and Mary Powell wants to know what's the biggest prop that you've ever made.
Oh, biggest. From a weight standpoint, probably the troll. That guy was ginormous, and as I built him, actually I built him before I had the studio, so he was built in our garage, and I put big old casters on a pallet so that I can move him out of the garage and build him. Largest prop. It's really hard to tell because I have the stuff that is in our front yard, the characters per se. They stand between 9.5 to 10 feet tall. They're much larger than life. In fact, again, I've got all the stuff sitting next to me, so I'm going to go ahead and show you. This is one of the goblin guys, and this is just the head for him. So when you say large, I build everything in pieces. You know, the whole torso of this guy was separate. The whole arms were separate. So on a whole, yeah, it may stand 9 feet, 10 feet tall. but they're all separate pieces.
That is absolutely incredible.
Yeah, this was actually done 2013 for Home Depot.
Was that for that challenge?
For the last 2 years,
Okay.
I've done the Home Depot Halloween Style Challenge.
I had no idea his head was that big.
Yeah, they're that big. And he also has a rib cage and
Yeah.
a set of arms that are equally as big. So, yeah, and like I said, most people don't realize that from photos. You look at the photos, you think, I mean, it's human nature. You think of them as, life size, but no, these are big guys. And I made the set of these for the Home Depot Challenge in 2013, and I sort of hung on to them. I didn't put them in the auction because I thought what I like about them is they remind me of very retro, like 1950 Dark Ride type of characters that you'd find, and I sort of groove on that. So, yeah, I like those guys.
Do you ever sit there and think maybe you could like build stuff for haunted houses? Because I know there's like a lot of static procs that people have like just sitting around. Has that ever been an option, or is like anybody ever come to you with that?
I do.
It's like you can do like so much stuff.
Yeah, I do commission work. If someone's interested. I mean, I'm not gonna plug myself here, but you know how to contact me. Give me a call. I'll give you a quote. I've done some work for some Halloween companies that you would know of. I'm not gonna mention names. I've done a lot of pieces for private parties, people that are willing to spend X amount of money to have custom props built. So, yeah, and as far as what is best for a large armature, I think strength. Don't skimp. If you're going to build something that's 6 or 7 feet tall, have an internal structure made of wood or PVC or metal even. Don't skimp on that. I've done a lot of things in the past for contests, like Haunt Forum has a $20 prop challenge, and I've done some of my favorite pieces for them, but because I was trying to keep the total cost under $20, you skimp on the armature, so they're weak and they don't hold up well over the years. But no, whatever, something that's very strong is the internal structure, and then you can add on to that with recycled materials such as cardboard, etc.
Now I know you.
So what did you? I'm sorry. Go ahead. What did you use for these props here? Probably is what they're really asking, like these size
for props. These guys here. Well, those are separate elements. I'm going to look at my screen here. The skulls on those guys, all 3 of those guys just went in the auction. They were as big or bigger than the green guy that I just showed you. In fact, I think there were 24-inch beach balls that started off as a base. But the head is separate, and the way that I did the yard display, if you remember back when I said that I babysit, one of the key factors is a quick teardown. So if you look at those big guys that are standing there, imagine a 10-foot long 2x4 that's being supported by a 5-foot fence post that's sunk into our yard. The heads, there are always, you can see there's a hole here, so it would slide over the top of that 2x4, sit in there. The rib cage then would attach underneath. The hands were separate elements, would attach. And then if you see all the fabric that's over the shoulders and covered in front of the rib cage and draped over the forearms, that fabric is what creates the illusion. Those are essentially 4 separate pieces. You have the skull, you have the rib cage, you have the 2 arms and forearms, and then that fabric fills in that gap, making you believe it's one solid piece. So, and the whole key to that is the way that
it does look like
in the way that all those, nothing is attached with bolts or requires tools. The head is simply it's slipped over the top of a 2x4. The rib cage or torso is hung on a screw that's in the 2x4. There's an eye hook on the rib cage. I use conduit brackets to essentially plug in the arms. So if we have a major storm coming, or we live on a fairly busy road, vandalism is always a concern. I can go out at night and within 15 minutes pop all the heads and the arms and everything that I don't want to get damaged. I can take that down, put it in storage, set it up the next morning so the display is safe. But
Sherry,
yeah, you can.
Sorry, go ahead. Sherry Collette wants to know, Scott, do you have any plans to ever publish a book, like paper mache how-tos, tips, and tricks?
Yeah, it's one of those. There's so many things that are on the list. When you were talking about like DVDs and tutorials, that's definitely something I would like to do. And shame on me, my background is in television production, specifically instructional design, how to make how-tos. I've done that for 20 years, and I've never gotten around to.
It's the painters whose house never gets painted.
Yeah, well, it's one of those things too. I just, because my background is, that's a shot of the display area of the studio that we had, so you can see there's a lot of the props on display there. My problem with doing a video is I know what needs to be done to do it right. It's not I'm not the type of person. I have a real tough time just grabbing my cell phone and going, here we are, let's post it to YouTube. I want to do the whole shoot to edit, and I want a full post-production session. And I just, the last 2 years, we were so busy running the studio that that opportunity never happened. But yeah, a book, I think a book would be fun.
Yeah, a book would be a lot of fun. Absolutely.
And definitely, well, something that really... I was really touched when we closed the studio. We have a core group of, I'm going to say 18 or 20 students. I mean, they supported the studio from day one. They've taken, 8, 9, 10, 15 classes with us. And one thing that they got me when we closed the studio was, it's right here. I wasn't even planning on showing it. These are books. They got me 2 volumes, one for each year I had the studio. They had the entire Stalloween Facebook page turned into a book.
Oh, wow.
Every single... Here, let me... just a second here. I can do something funky with the camera so that you can see it a little bit better. But what you can see there is every single photo, every single comment.
Oh, wow.
Obviously, they appreciate you and they value you.
Yeah.
Oh, they're awesome. They were awesome people.
Yeah.
And that kind of goes into a question I was thinking about when we were talking about video and books. I was curious how well of a job have you done on documenting all of the different items that you've produced?
Oh, I'm stupid crazy when it comes to photographing. I typically I will photograph on average 80 to 100 photos a day when I'm working in the studio. And that was something that didn't come natural. Back in the late 2000s, it took me a while to get in that mode of going, you know what, stop what you're doing, take a photo of it, so that you have a reference.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many hard drive backups we have and DVDs burnt with photos. Yeah, I've documented pretty much everything I've done since 2006. So it's there. It's somewhat organized. Somewhat. So, no, it's cool.
Well, you talk about doing videos and doing books with MHC coming up. A couple of people have asked, including Gregory Wallace, if you've thought about teaching a class at a place like MHC. Are you going to MHC this year?
No, I'm not. You know, I've been asked. I get asked that a lot. The toughest thing, you know, the best I could do at a convention would be to do a demo. You know, paper mache isn't the type of medium. It's not like I can.
It's the dry time, man. It's a
right. You know, I can't have. You know, we can't.
Damn it!
9 o'clock in the morning, come in, and by noon you're walking out with a freaking pumpkin. That's just not going to happen. You know, workshop. You have dry time. You know, paper mache is a medium that you work in small steps. You know, once you get comfortable with that, it's okay. You know, and the way around I see so many people going, well, I hate it, I just did this, now I have to wait 2 days for it to dry. the way around that is decide to do like 4 or 5 things at a time. That way you always have something to work on. I always batch projects. It makes it go quicker. It makes it go faster.
Scott, I have a quick question for you. As creepy, fabulous as your stuff is, it also seems to have somewhat of a whimsical air about it. Was that a conscious decision, or?
Oh no! You guys still there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
For some reason, I've lost my screen here. I can't see. But
We
if you
see
guys
you
can,
fine.
We
What's
see
that?
you.
Okay, as long as you can see me.
Yeah, we're good.
I mean, go back to defining moments in my childhood. I love film. Before I went into high school, my grandparents took my brother, myself, and my 2 other cousins to Disney World in Florida, and the trip through the Haunted Mansion and the trip through Pirates of the Caribbean. I've heard other people say this, but that sort of redefined everything. I like the whimsical. I like the zombies that we do. Here's one of the. This is the last class that we did in the zombie class, and they were actually trophy-mounted zombie heads.
Well, they're way bigger than I thought they were.
That's an example of what all the students built. Those are probably the least friendly things that I do. But again, that was part of doing zombie heads was sort of a business decision with the popularity of the Walking Dead and such. I knew that there was an audience out there, and I was amazed at the zombie class was probably the most popular class we did over the 2 years, plus probably one of the most popular online classes. In the different walks of life I mean, you get everything from your high school students, which you would expect to be, grooving on The Walking Dead, to the amount of retirees that I would have 70-year-old retired dental hygienists or whatever come in, and these were the people that were going, I want to make it gorier, I want the eyeball to look like it's popped out, and And that was awesome. I just love that fact. And even the best part of that, the thing that I love the most about the studio, is that in one class, you would have a couple high school students, you would have a couple retirees, you'd have people in the middle. And our classes were time intensive. They were each 3 hours long, and we typically met 4 times over the course of 2 weeks. So you would have this room filled with people from different generations, and you know what? There wasn't a single second of that 3 hours where the conversation wasn't flowing. They weren't getting along. We were all at the studio on a common ground. And as silly as it may sound, it's like, well, because they all like zombies, but it worked. It was cool to see, and the classes that I offered at the studio were, even though at first I thought, I'm all about let's teach paper mache techniques. When they leave, they'll have their little piece to take with them. It proved to be more about the experience and having people come in from different walks of life, working with each other, and they left as friends. And this whole core group that I talked about earlier, where we have like this little haunt club thing, those are the people that experience the same thing. We're all now friends. We all have the same passion, and we're going to keep that going. So
that's awesome. That's awesome.
I don't even know if I answered the question. I don't remember.
That's okay.
What it was.
Scott,
what was the question?
With that answer, Scott, it makes me wonder, there's a lot of, you've inspired a lot of people, but did you find yourself inspired by the others that attended your classes, like look and go like, wow, look what they've done, or look, I never thought about really doing it that way, and come away with new ways and thoughts of doing things just from others coming in from the outside.
Oh, every single class, and it almost was like there was a little bit of guilt to that. It's like, okay, you're paying me X amount of dollars to come in for me to teach you something. You turn around and you do this freaking awesome. What do you mean the ear's bit off? I never thought of that. Or, what do you mean there's a nail in the eyeball? Or what the hell are you putting vertebrae on the back of the head? That's genius. So yeah, every single, no matter who they were, everyone would come in and leave a mark, doing
awesome.
something that was, just fantastic.
Gregory Wallace wants to know, were you able to sell all of your stuff from the studio in the auction, or are there still some things available?
Nope, the auction, I think we had 156 pieces. Technically, over 140 of them sold. We had very generous bidders, and if they're watching, thank you. You guys know who you are. There was a lot of fun bidding because there were some pieces, highly coveted pieces that people wanted, and we did a blind auction so over the course of 3 days, so you could tell how many people had bid on a piece, but you didn't know what they bid. So there were some interesting results. So out of those like 140 that sold, the remaining dozen or so were sort of gifted to those that really kicked in and did well at the auction, or came through and helped us out.
That was
Very
fabulous.
cool.
So
That
no, and it was. I'm sorry.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Okay. Christopher Presley wants to know what's the most complicated paper mache prop you've ever made, and Bruce Janser wants to know what your favorite prop that you've ever made.
Oh, let's see. Whose answer am I going to steal? It sounds cliche, but my favorite, if you're doing it right, your favorite prop should always be the one you're currently working on. Even if it ends up, once you finish it, you paint it, you look at it, and you say, all right, not quite as cool as I imagined. From an enthusiasm standpoint, I hope that whatever I'm currently working on is my favorite. As far as most complicated, actually some of my bigger, more complex-looking props, like Buster Gravesley that I did for the Haunt Forum $20 Prop Challenge, like in 2010 or 2011. That's one of the bigger pieces, but it was not that complex. That was one of those rare projects, and it's one of the reasons I like the piece so much, that it came together with no effort. It knew how to assemble itself. It fulfilled the vision I had in my mind. There were no complications. Buster, or not Buster, but Boris the troll that I talked about, that was the same way. It took 3 months to build the guy, but there were no mistakes. It built itself. My most complex, and I'm not going to name names, but I've had a couple commission jobs where, people want stuff, and the communication on their end, up front, there just wasn't enough communication, and things weren't clear enough. So, you get to a certain point, and it's like, okay, we have to backtrack and start over again. To me, that's my definition of complex. When it's a pain in the ass to build, that becomes complex. Stuff like the Green Goblin guy I just showed you. That was a dream. That was like a no effort. I had the vision in my mind. It came together, step by step, just the way it was supposed to be.
Any possibility in the future, Scott, of online classes?
Well, I have been doing online classes since about a year and a half ago. We ran a series of them February, March, and April, I believe. We did zombies, we did miniature haunted houses, pumpkins, and yes, I am resuming the online training starting in June.
Speaking on that, Scott, I think we would leave a few people out if we didn't ask the question. But speaking of also the online classes, do you mind sharing what rig you've got set up for that camera?
Right? That was all smooth. He's all, let me show you, let me tilt the camera.
I know, and I'm like,
what's killing me at the moment is I lost my I can't see anything.
Okay.
All I'm seeing is it says view source HTTPS.
Yeah, the best thing to do is not to mess with it.
Yeah, you just scared the crap out of Jose.
No, you're touchy.
Hey, just from experience, it's like, shoot, where'd he go?
Well, are you familiar with the it's essentially just a simple jib that the webcam is mounted on top. It is about, well, I'm say 4 feet tall. It's hinged at the base. It's counterweighted with a steel plate from my or an old weight set, and it's attached to a rope so that as I work and as I teach, I can talk to the students in the moment where I say, you know what, let's move into a close-up. That's what happens. I don't know what you're seeing. Probably a silly little
we're
pumpkin
seeing
sketch. Because it's counterweighted when I'm done, and I also have it hooked up. There's little hooks so that I can attach it to the table, free up my hands, teach, sculpt. And again, when I do online training, I've gotten really good at, however, when I'm sculpting something, I tend to have to sculpt upside down and backwards and whatever, but, that works. And then when I'm done with the, the close-up stuff, it just rocks back. And actually, I shared the photo of this last night. Someone had asked about it because I'd shared a shot of the studio setup that I had here. So if you're a friend of mine on Facebook, you can look at my last post and go down through the comments.
So it's in the comments? Okay.
It's in the comment section. There's a photo of the rig. And like I said, it's not pretty, but it works.
Yeah.
And that's when I decided to do online training. That was one of the big things. I'm going, you know what? We can't have a wide shot. That's not going to work. And I don't want to have another person involved with, running camera or whatever. So I came up with this nonsense, and it's actually worked well.
It works.
Very clever.
So, and then here's the, I don't know if you can see that here because I can't see what I'm seeing, but here's a little rope that I can pull, and there's like 4 different positions that I can lock it in place. I can pull in this tight, a little bit closer, or we can go for that extreme, tabletop look here. So, yeah. Anyway, that's my jib. That's my jib.
I just knew that some people would be geeking out on that, including myself. Like, man, what the hell did he do to set that thing? And the funny thing is, I saw your studio shot yesterday, and so I'll have to go back. I'm gonna go back and look at those comments to.
Yeah, someone had actually someone had made a comment about. It was like, well, I'm surprised I don't see all your tripods and whatever in the shot. And I just made the comment. I said, well, actually, there is a jib that isn't in the shot, and they do also online demonstrations and such. So I shared a photo with him, but it's all it's all public. You can take a look at it.
Something I can do.
That's great.
Sell it.
What's that?
Sell them. Get a patent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't need a patent. I'll just give it away.
See, I'm totally relating to Ken because he's cold. Look at him. He's like armpit sweater. Yeah, we're just like.
I'm in the same thing. I mean, I'm sitting here. I'm in our basement, and our basement stays a constant. It's like 52 degrees. It's not a finished basement, So I'm doing the same thing. If you've seen me during this show doing this, it's not like I'm nervous or anything. It's like, it's all right. I got short sleeves on. It's a little bit chilly, but.
Right. All right. Well, we ran down to the pretty close to the end of the show, and definitely we want to thank all the guests, and definitely. Every guest should have had their own show. We just couldn't.
Without a doubt.
I know, without a doubt. Without a doubt, and we're sorry for the guests that we couldn't spend all the time with you because we definitely could have picked your brain the whole time.
It's better now.
Oh yeah, we could have easily had individual shows.
Sorry about that.
Yeah.
So we definitely could have picked your brain the whole time. Each individual person.
Each one of you 5 hours.
Yes, we could have. We definitely want
3 more shows.
Right.
Yes.
Guys.
So we definitely got to get to the prizes, and let's see what's going to happen with that.
All right. Well, we got a big haul of prizes tonight, and let's see who won them. The first up on the list was the jug of Froggy's Fog. And the winner of that tonight is Maureen Perez. Congratulations.
All right. Congratulations.
Next, we have the Twisted Poppet, created and donated by our own lovely Pandora Rose. And the winner of that tonight is Sharon Lakaski. Sharon, congratulations. Next up on the list is the Flipper Prop Mech. And the winner of that tonight is Gregory Wallace. Congratulations.
All right. We'll get that to good use.
Next up, our Hauntopolis Magazine year-long subscription. The winner of that tonight is
Jim Walden.
No. The winner of that tonight is Brandy Wyan. Congratulations. Brandy.
Nice.
All right, in the home stretch. 3 Sam Haines music downloads. So I'll read off the 3 winners of that from YouTube.
Dark Carnival. They're my favorites.
Right. The 3 winners from YouTube. Pumpkinhead 625, from YouTube Deborah O'Connor, and from Facebook Hills Horror Haunted House. I believe that's
nice.
Right.
Congratulations, guys.
And last are 2 Haunt Nation t-shirts. The winners of that are D Minor Sound from YouTube and Terry Treffry from YouTube.
Congratulations. And you know what though, Brad? I have to step back and correct you.
I was gonna correct them too. I'm like,
Yes. I was waiting until I got through the whole list.
You totally cheapened the whole big prize, dude.
You know what? Oh, wait a minute. I think I figured it out. It's because Brad's gonna go buy a gallon of fog juice and give that to him and keep the
Yeah,
that's what he was trying to do.
Oh, the
That's
first
what-
thing. So there was no fog juice this time. It was just
No, it's a fog machine.
right. Oh, so there you go, Maureen. You won the big prize, and I killed the drama.
Maureen, we were not going to let Brad cheat you out of that.
Dude,
So, Maureen,
dude,
since I ruined the experience, why don't you just give up the prize, donate it back to us, and we'll give it away in a more dramatic fashion next time.
Dude, I'm totally happy about this because you like never mess anything up, and I'm always.
I know. They're great.
I'm feeling good right now.
Hey, Brad, in a true Canadian fortune, I can't even talk now. True
In a
Canadian.
true American
Hey,
Go
if
ahead.
y'all don't mind, I have one final hard-hitting question for John.
Uh-oh.
Oh damn! Here we go.
What?
Do you know if Sammy the squirrel survived?
Oh man, we're talking about the squirrel that I rescued from my basement.
Inquiring minds want to know.
Yeah, so here's the thing. I did catch that squirrel, and I did release him into the wild, and I did watch him crawl away, and then I had to scurry off to work, and Chad Savage and Teresa Walker both lied to me and told me the squirrel climbed up a tree and lived happily ever after, when in fact he died shortly after I let him go. And they didn't want me to be sad about it, so they hid the truth from me.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, they
You know
love
what,
you.
though, John? That
Oh,
you know
nuts.
that explains everything. I had seen a post, and it just popped up for a brief while. Something about a new shirt that Chad was drawing up for MHC, and then it disappeared right away. Now I understand what it is and what it's all about. It had like an image of a squirrel, and there was a fashionable young boy in the background, kind of weeping. I'm like, wow, what is going on? This is really odd for Chad. But
Oh, fashionable. Yeah, and for those of you out there, for the people who don't understand, while we were at Legendary Haunt Tour this year, squirrels got into my basement and tore it up. I mean, just destroyed it, ate through walls and doors, and I didn't want to kill them, even though they destroyed my basement. So I captured them with traps and towels.
Chad actually posted on his YouTube channel a short video of John catching this squirrel in the basement, Sammy the squirrel, and releasing him into the wild, and that's where that came from, for those that are unaware.
Good Lord. Good
Before
Lord.
I've messed anything else up, I just have to say about the prizes. Julie asked me to mention to please contact her on Facebook if you're one of the winners. I've posted the winners on Facebook and YouTube, so congratulations, everybody.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, everyone.
That's right. All right. Well, we're gonna end the show, and definitely we want to thank everybody for coming on. For you guys taking your time to come and all the knowledge you have and
Oh, we're losing Jose.
Oh, so that wasn't just me.
I'm taking over. All right, we want to thank everybody for being on the show. Are you back, Jose? I can't do it.
Okay. Hey, we're out of here. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so
Thanks,
much.
everyone.
Thanks
everyone.
for
John,
sticking with us for another season, everybody.
Yep. John, I
Please.
cannot wait to hang out at MHC with you.
Hell yeah,
So,
it's gonna be a good
looking
time.
forward to it.
Time. Good night, Mary. Good night, Mary.